Hi everyone, I'm Abhishek Kaushik, your host for the weekly episodes that we bring at Pack Talks. This is the fifth episode of Pack Talks, and I have with me somebody who needs no introduction. For people who are working in data science or who are exploring the world of data, AI, and data science, they might be familiar with his work. So basically, he's an expert in applied data science, Streamlit, a leading instructor at deep learning AI, and a devil at Snowflake, and a friend of mine and a fellow YouTuber. I have with me Dr. Chanan Nanta Sinamat. Hi, Chanan.
Hello, Abhishek. Thanks for the kind introduction.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. A pleasure to be on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. The pleasure is all ours.
Mhm.
The reason why we have gathered over here is to have your insights and to be able to absorb your expertise and knowledge when it comes to making use and understanding Streamlit, which is a newly developed a library of Python. So,
Mhm.
Shannon, before we go, with the set of questions that we have received so far from the users,
Right.
uh, uh, I would start from the very basic, and this is just for our users and for me as well,
Mhm.
somebody who hails from a non-tech background. How is Streamlit different from other platforms? How is it different from Gradio, Taipy, and there are many more, libraries of Python. How is it different? What exactly it is that Streamlit offers? So, if you can throw some light on that.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. So for those of you who might not know, so Streamlit is a low-code web framework, meaning that like you could create a web app, Python web app, in literally in a few lines of code, and it's very Pythonic. So literally, you could use just two lines of code, import Streamlit, and then st.title or st.write, and then you'll literally have a web app up and running. The great thing about Streamlit is that it's very easy to use. Nowadays in vibe coding, which we'll cover more in this podcast, I hope, is that it's very friendly for vibe coders as well. Easy to maintain, easy to deploy, easy to share, and it's practically free if you're using the open source version. With respect to your question on how is it different, I would say it probably will be like depending on your own personal preference. Um,
Okay.
so there are several low-code web framework that are available on Python and also in R. I think like one of the first was probably Shiny. Like having like a low-code web framework there, but it's more tailored into the R environment. And then Streamlit became pretty much like a very popular framework owing to the opinionated way of how it looks. It looks pretty good out of the box. You don't have to essentially tweak it. But if you do want to brand it, there's several options for you to do. But yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, I would say it's very easy to use and it's very fun to build with.
Okay. And I would also like to tell our audience that since you, which I've already covered in the introduction, that since you are a leading instructor at deep learning AI, and you teach fast prototyping of Gen AI applications. So obviously, I would like to go deep dive into the course as well, because so what exactly this course covers when it comes to embedding and relating Python with Streamlit, and how does the prototyping work there?
Mhm.
In the course, majorly in the course which you run.
Right. Right. Yeah. So the course is essentially available on the Coursera platform and also on the Deep
Okay.
Learning AI platform. And the course is beginner friendly. It is a 3-module course. So essentially in the first module, you'll learn about like the essentials of having an MVP, a minimum viable product, something that is tangible, something that comes from your abstract ideas into a tangible form, which is the web app. And then we're going to cover on like the principles of prototyping, how you could go about prototyping your app, like having a formal plan to iterate through the cycles of the first step is coming up with an idea, and then based on that idea, you want to build a quick prototype, in Streamlit, and then you want to test the prototype, which you share to your users or your beta testers. And then by sharing, you allowed yourself to have more feedback into your app. And so once you get the feedback, you want to iterate through to improve your app, and then the cycle starts over again. So, and then once you iterate, modify the app, then you want to gather more feedback. So this fast iteration is the essence of the prototyping approach that we're going to cover in the course. And in modules 2, you're going to learn how you could then transition that into using Snowflake, which has a fully fledged platform allowing you to do a lot of the AI and data cloud operations. Like, for example, you could have an LM inference like GenAI capabilities embedded into your app. And then in the third module, we're going to cover pretty much like wrapping things up. Once you have the app, once you've gathered the feedback, then we're going to show, like through some project labs on how you could essentially take that feedback and then, make the improvements to the app. Yeah, that's the essence of the course.
So so what I understand, it's more of like an end-to-end course, starting from the very basic till the end, in a way that delivering the final product, starting from the MVP to making a live workable prototype, then making improvisations.
Right, exactly. So you're essentially we're essentially showing what I would do when approaching with an idea that I would have, and it doesn't have to be a working professional only. It's not only for work. You could use this principle to like create an app that will allow you to maybe predict the outcome of maybe your sports team favorite, or even like make some apps that will allow you to like predict the virality of particular songs, or any crazy ideas that you have, any hobby projects that could essentially be vibe coded.
Okay, so it's more of like an end-to-end, even for someone who doesn't have any knowledge, or like a complete beginner can also be a part of it and can learn from it.
I would say it would be great to have a basic knowledge of coding at the very least, or Python. For those who are like completely new to coding, well, we also cover in the course how you could vibe code it. So essentially, yeah, I would say like the threshold to taking the course is pretty beginner friendly.
Okay, so moving to the next part, in the context of like the prototyping, rapid prototyping, obviously designing is quite viable and required for feedback and for iteration. But is it more valuable? Is it more valuable than building a perfect version upfront? The designing part.
Right. Yeah. So that's a great question. So like when we want to build something, we always have this thing called like analysis paralysis. So we're gonna think about it, and then we're gonna change our mind, and then we're gonna be hesitant on whether to implement it. The thing with prototyping is that once you have an idea, just a nascent idea, you could turn that into an app, and then you get feedback from, let's say, 100 people. Instead of you have an idea, and then you kind of ponder whether you should proceed with building that feature, because traditionally that would require a lot of investment in terms of the human power to create the feature. But nowadays we have AI to help us, so the bar is lower, and having that, putting that idea to an app prototype and then getting feedback will allow you to have novel insights rather than just your own opinion, but then you have 100 other people's opinion that will allow you to see the benefits of that feature from a 360-degree angle instead of from a one person point of view.
Okay.
Because you can never say whether an idea is really good or not unless it exists in the world. And once it does so, then you'll be able to iterate better. You might have ideas 2, 3, 4 after the feedback session. So that one idea might totally pivot into another direction that you might not have originally thought about, which is made possible by making that idea exist in the world.
It's more of like trying and testing things out and then get the
Exactly.
feedback. Yeah.
Right.
And Channon, since you mentioned about with the advent of AI and people all across the globe embracing
Mhm.
AI and also
Right.
learning machine learning, obviously
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
happens to be the foundation. So and also there's one thing as well which I recently discovering is that people are making use of prompt engineering as well.
Right.
Now, with the advent of, and we also have AI tools for prompt engineering, which, non tech people, somebody like me, makes use of in day to day life.
Mhm.
So, for my understanding and also for the user's understanding,
Right.
like integrating this prompt engineering and RAG based models inside a Streamlit app. So, does it improve readability and gain a user trust when it comes to making the Gen AI prototype? If it does, I would like to know how, and all our users would like to know how exactly, if it does.
Mhm. You mean like how to embed observability directly into the app?
Exactly, so it's more of like integrating prompt engineering and the RAG based models,
Mhm.
integrating them into the Streamlit ecosystem. And
Okay.
once we do that, does it impact, improve, reduce the readability, or like while I'm making a prototype, does any of these things impact while making use of the Gen AI prototyping?
Yeah, so Streamlit, if you think of it, is the front end part. It's the UI layer on top of your LLM app. If you're building a large language model based app, so under the front end layer, then you have all of the back end logic, and that could be anything. It could be like how data is read in, how things are processed. That might involve sending it over to LLM to make some inference, and then sending it back to a database to be stored, or maybe any other back end processing. For observability, there's several parts. Like if you build a machine learning model, you might have observability for what happens during the machine learning model building process. If you're using AI model inference, then you want to have maybe the observability of how the LM it influences the resulting output. Where's the data coming from? How trustworthy it is. Then for that, you'll probably have to leverage observability tools to help you
Get
to
it.
elucidate more info into that. Like for example, True Lens, which is an open source tool for observability of LM models, and it's a Snowflake product as well, because it was acquired by Snowflake about a year
Okay.
ago.
Yeah. Okay. And so before we, move any ahead,
Mhm.
this is a personal interest which I always keep asking my all my guests is,
Okay.
what's your all-time favorite go-to get AI tool for day-to-day tasks? Could be
Okay.
like could be like writing a general email and basic tasks which doesn't
Uh-huh.
require much of time. This is of my
Right.
personal interest, which I,
Okay. Right.
I ask everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I would say nowadays AI has pretty much touched upon everybody's lives. So recently for me, I've been experimenting a lot with Cursor, and
Okay.
I'm finding it to be very useful for not only coding, but also for writing as well. The
Okay.
great thing about Cursor or something similar like Claude Code is that it has access to your computer. So you could tell it to do things without having to copy paste. Like if you're using something like ChatGPT, you'll have to copy paste, like the output, and then put it into some document, maybe copying from some context from other documents and then putting it into the chat window. The great thing about Cursor or related product is that you provide context there directly. You could have access to MCP server. Like for example, you want to put in all of the knowledge of the documentation of a particular tool. You put that into the prompt, like at with the at symbol and then the name of the
Okay.
documentation. You could drag drop, your code repository, kind of like figure out the logic of this repo, and then I already have the initial parts. Can you fill up the rest? Like
Get it.
once you have that, it's kind of like having a collaborator who understands what you're doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm even amazed at what it could do. So, like I didn't have any high expectation, but then seeing what's possible kind of, is mind blowing.
Okay. I mean, I always ask this question, because, but I don't know why it comes to me, but because we have so many AI tools,
Mhm.
so that's why but let's not deviate from, the conversation and the topic
Right.
that for which we have gathered is. My next thing would be to understand that are there any advantages which arise when somebody deploys a Streamlit prototype on platforms like Streamlit Community Cloud, or maybe inside Snowflake
Mhm.
for real-time feedback or iteration?
Right.
Are there any pros or cons for that?
Yeah. So I would say there might be different use cases for
Okay.
deploying an app on a particular platform. So you mentioned about community cloud. So I would say this is my go-to when I'm creating hobby project apps or even community apps. So apps that I don't have to worry about, like, is there any security issue? Is there any, like sensitive information? Because everything that's deployed publicly, I have to make sure that it could go public.
Yeah.
But then those that have more, privacy or more security concerns would better be securely deployed internally to a community of or organization members that you want to have the app to have access to. So for example, if you want to share the app internally with your peers, then deploying to to the Snowflake um, platform would be the logical way. I've also seen people who use Streamlit to create a SaaS
Okay.
business, like a platform that
Mhm.
essentially makes money. So for that, they self-host the website, the Streamlit app on their own, VPS, virtual private server. So that is
Okay.
deployed independently. So yeah, I would say it really depends on the use case.
Get the
And the
point.
great thing of Community Cloud is free. And you could deploy
Obviously.
unlimited apps, and you don't have to worry about like whether the app, when it goes viral, it might incur thousands of dollars of cost.
Definitely. And Chanan, going back to the course
Mhm.
about of the fast prototyping, which
Right.
you are a part of. So, for somebody like me who has, like, I would say, good knowledge of Python, just
Mhm.
Python.
Mhm.
I won't go into, so I'm only going about the introduction to programming using
Okay.
Python. People like me, but
Mhm.
are not familiar with data structure algorithms, the
Mhm.
DSA part, the
Mhm.
search trees, all those things I'm not familiar with.
Mhm.
So, would it be suitable for them, that they have like a good command of
Mhm.
programming language and some basic libraries, the basic ones like pandas, numpy, which is the basic ones
Right.
libraries.
Mhm.
So would it be advisable for them, to explore this course of yours and to have insights from you on a first hand basis?
Mhm. Yeah, so the course actually covers the basics of using Snowflake in modules too, which
Okay.
pretty much has like this mentality of hand holding the learner, showing you explicitly what to click on and what you can expect out of that. Like, here's how you could create a database, here's how you could create a schema, here's how you could create a database table, and here's how you could connect your app to the API to make it work. So the course shows you that step by step, and then we also have a code repo where you could just essentially
Okay.
copy the code, paste it into your platform, and then you'll have the demo up and running, and you could learn along while you do that.
Okay, and for some, as I said, I would
Mhm.
just extend this part for someone comfortable with Python,
Right.
good command of Python,
Mhm.
along with the ML algorithms, ML
Mhm.
concepts. So, I mean, how would this course, or how does it, empower those set of people to move from, I would say, on a step by step basis, like from concept to
Mhm.
demo to making MVPs.
Mhm.
So after being a part of this cohort or like the course, so would it be like that anybody would be like a go to get person that now I have done that, so, or
Mhm.
is it like more of like after completing it practicing on a day by day basis by facing real world problems? How does
Mhm.
that work?
Right. So in the course, we try to have the example data be more of a real world situation data, like kind of like a glimpse of what you would have done in a real practical setting. So in the course, we have this data set called the Avalanche data set, which
Okay.
is like a product line of winter gears apparel. And what you want to do in that in those lessons is, you're going to take that data, and it's like unstructured as well. So we provide you with
Okay.
the unstructured form, and then we'll show you how you could take that unstructured form and how you could turn it into a structured data. And we show you
Okay.
that step by step. And we're doing that using Cortex, which is the AI inference of Snowflake. And once
Oh,
we, go from unstructured to structured data, then we show you, okay, here's the data in a structured form. Now let's plug it into the Streamlit app, right? And then once you plug it in,
okay.
you essentially just use pandas, import pandas as PD, and then PD read CSV, because you have already processed the data and then you read it into
Yeah.
a CSV data. Or essentially, you could replace that with st.connection, connect to the database, to the Snowflake database, and then load the data table, and then take that and then perform chunking, and then build a rack pipeline in Snowflake. We have a worksheet or notebook for you in there, so you could essentially just download the notebook, import into your own account, and then run it, and then you get the rack pipeline installed, and then plug that into a Streamlit app. So we show you that how you could plug that rack pipeline into a Streamlit app, and then we show you how to add the chat elements. And now you have a chatbot in your Streamlit app,
Yeah.
and then you could just ask natural language, and then it will provide you. It will convert that text into
Okay.
SQL, and then retrieve the answer, and then provide the answer, kind of like how ChatGPT would do it, and then you get the instantaneous answer out. So yeah, by the end of the course, you would have done all of that.
Okay. And carrying forward and taking it to the next level. So, somebody who has completed this, completed the course, and even builds his first prototype, starting from ideation till the very end. So, what would be your advice, to be able to carry forward that momentum? Because anybody would have completed the course,
Mhm.
completed the projects which is covered
Right.
in the course as well, but the problem which nowadays based on my observation is that people have this habit of hand holding, that whatever is taught, I am a pro
Right.
in that, but whenever a new problem comes up, they are
Mhm.
all blank. So how
Mhm.
to cope with that, when it comes to facing real world new
Mhm.
problems in context of the Streamlit discourse and
Mhm.
you making use of Python and Streamlit?
Right.
How does one prepare for that?
That is a great question, and I believe on YouTube they have this term called tutorial hell, meaning that you are in this loop of constantly consuming tutorial content, but then it's very difficult to take that knowledge that you have and then apply it to a new novel problem. So in order to do that, I would believe it would have to it would have to arise from constant practice. So let's say that if
Okay.
you look into the real world, you look into the data problems that you might have in your life, and then try to see which method could be used to solve that problem.
Get it.
Let's say that you're playing. I once heard from a friend, Tyler Richards. I believe you might have known him.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he's the author of the Streamlit book, and he mentioned about. I also interviewed him as a guest on the Data Professor channel. He mentioned about how he took the game of, I'm not sure, is it ping pong? Yeah, table tennis, and then how he used computer vision to create a pretty cool pipeline that analyzes and counts the score for the players,
Okay.
and that is solving a real world problem, right? And so I would believe, like try to be creative and look at the world and see what data it generates and how that could be used to as a project idea that you could build on top of. So definitely, Streamlit is just a front end layer. Under the hood is where the magic happens. Whatever data is possible. So whatever Python support, Streamlit was supported because everything happens in the backend, but then Streamlit will just be surfacing the results and taking in the input. So the creativity is totally in the hands of the builder. So essentially, like when you're vibe coding, you're doing a conversation with the AI. So essentially, you're thinking and then you're conversing. But now, you could build just by conversing. Vibe coding, you actually build things, and then so it's very amazing. We're living at a very amazing time. Something that 10 years ago we wouldn't have imagined that we would have, this amazing power to help us automate, mundane tasks or even automate. And I believe you have shared with me like how you automate a lot of your marketing task, and that is pretty amazing. And I mean, there's a lot to learn, and AI tools are coming out every day, and it's like pretty amazing at the speed at which it is shipping.
Yes, yes, yes. And moving to the next segment, and what exactly, since you mentioned about it's all the game of creativity, patience, persistence, and a lot of practice.
Right.
But even after, like somebody who gives a lot of time, but when is that going to be the pivot point, or some metrics, if you can share on as per your experience, when one gets to know that I'm all ready to land in this technological competitive landscape, so that I can shape the future of the data world, AI world. Because no matter how many problems, because in the world of data, in the world of tech, every day there's a new problem.
Right.
Day one it's going to be AI, then it's going to be GenAI, then it's going to be NLP, so many things.
Right.
And one thing I've understood from from tech people is, and that's a very good thing, that is, whenever you are asked whether this problem is solvable, somebody taught me a long time back, yes, I'll do that. And then they say, and then when the other person asks how, then that person said, I don't know, but I will deliver it, and that person delivered it.
Okay.
So that's one thing I learned, and I always implement, that figuring out problems can be done. But coming back to the question, what are those ways, metrics, which makes one understand that now I'm all ready to contribute to this particular AI world, or the Gen AI world?
Yes, that's a great inspirational question. So, like if you would ask me, like prior to creating the course, like what is going to actually be in the course, I would have said, I don't know, because things are moving fairly fast. And it's all about doing the due diligence of figuring things out of what the market wants and how we deliver something that kind of meets their expectation. So essentially kind of like a product market fit or a course market fit. So the course will fit the demands of the market. So I would believe that is a wise answer that your friend has given you. And a lot of the things are very uncertain. So prior to working in tech, I came from an academic background. So I do research into drug discovery. So a lot of the things that we do, we don't know. Let's see what happened. It seems my camera is off. Can you still hear me?
Chanan, I can hear your voice, but
Yes.
I can't see. The camera is switched off.
Yes, that's weird. I also see that it says that it's switched off. Oh, okay. I'm back on. Okay, cool. Right. That was strange. Okay. So where were we? Oh yeah. So I mentioned about like coming from a academic background and doing research into computational, drug discovery. A lot of on the biology side, a lot is uncertain. We don't know at this time that we're doing research, and the purpose is to start from not knowing to the end
Yeah.
outcome is to know a little bit about that. Like if we want to find a cure for, let's say, Alzheimer's, then we start from a protein that might be misfolded, and how do we figure out to prevent that? Then we do our literature review. We search the literature, what other people has already done, and
Yeah.
then based on that knowledge, we devise our plan how we are going to tackle that problem. Let's say that we identified that this protein is responsible for the misfolding of the Alzheimer's, um, amyloid, and then we try to find compounds or peptides, small proteins that will be able
Hmm.
to prevent the misfolding that leads to Alzheimer's. So I would say in tech, there's a lot of tools that are out there, and let's say that we start from not knowing, but then what we know serves as a good foundation for learning about
Yeah.
that new tool. And once we know that new tool, then because a lot of the things that is important in building projects is the architectural part, how
Yeah.
things will fit in, how are you architecting your workflow, your pipeline. Essentially every tool is kind of like a jigsaw puzzle that will fit in to your overarching pipeline or workflow, and then based on that, it is you how you connect the different jigsaw puzzles to make the magic
Yeah.
happen. And that, I
I
would say, requires a lot of repetition in order to be good at.
Surely. So, since we're running out of time, before we wrap up this session, one particular advice,
Mhm,
or maybe even more, maybe even more, from your end,
mhm.
for people, who are making and who wants to make mark into the AI world, the data
Right.
world, the data
Right.
AI world,
Mhm.
where exactly do they start from? From where exactly? How should they start? And also about your course,
Mhm.
who should be a part of it, who should join, who so what exactly is the target audience for this particular course?
Mhm.
Any words, insights, thoughts on this?
Right. That's a very difficult question to answer. So let me break
Okay.
it down. So who
Okay.
is the course for? I would say it's for everyone who has the heart of a tinkerer or builder. If you want to build something, if you want to make that abstract idea into something more tangible, I would say this course is perfect. Let's say that if you have an idea to build a pretty robust stock market algorithm analysis, you know, workflow, and then you want to make it into an app, that could be one inspiration to taking the course.
Okay.
Is anything you if you want to build maybe a study productivity app that actually helps you to maybe summarize articles, maybe you upload or you use computer vision, use your webcam, scan the images, and then it kind of makes the TLDR for you based on the notes that you have, or even upload your audio from your lectures. You could build an app for that. So essentially, I would say anybody who wants to automate things in their life could be, the potential learner of the course. Um, let's see. Is there any other components? I would say, you say, where should one start from, right?
Yes.
If I could recommend, well, I would say start from anywhere. I would say, um, because there is no perfect start, honestly. So everything in life is like, okay, where do you start from? The thing is, start from anywhere, and then keep iterating at it. Learn more and more day by day, and the more times that you learn over time, you'll probably have a full picture of the topic. So wherever you are, start from there, and eventually you're going to converge at the same place. Let's say you have 100 people who are randomly starting at different places,
Yes.
and over the course of several years,
Mm.
several days, eventually they'll converge, and eventually you'll cover a lot of grounds of the topic. um yeah, I hope I didn't leave anything out.
Yeah, so it's more of like the way I understand it, no matter where you are, even if I'm standing on 5 or maybe at -5,
Mhm.
even if I start today, obviously I'm going to be moving from -5 to -4. It's just a matter of time. Somebody
Right.
might do that in 2 days. I might do that in 7 days. Or it's more of like that.
Exactly,
So
exactly. And the thing is, enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy
yeah,
learning, and that will keep the momentum going. And also, oh yeah, learn in public. So whenever you learn about
okay,
something, share it with the world. You know, post something on LinkedIn, post something on Twitter. Tag people who you think would be interested in what you're sharing. You know, feel free to tag me if you like, if it's about data or AI and productivity. And also, yeah, if you have like accountability buddy, so to say, that could also help you. You know, like when
get it.
learning about something, if you have a friend or a group of friends who are also trying to achieve the same thing, you could each act as like confidant for each other. You have problems, you share it with them. Maybe they are encountering the same problem, they share with you how they tackle the
Yeah.
problem. So we're actually doing this accountability system for learning Streamlit. We're going to launch it in January, and
Okay.
it's going to be the second iteration of the 30 days of Streamlit. So originally in April of 2022, like almost
Hmm.
3 years, more than 3 years ago, we launched the 30 days of Streamlit, the
Okay.
first version, and I believe like
Yeah.
more than 100,000 people have already participated in the challenge, essentially learning one daily challenge about Streamlit per day.
Yeah.
And but then for this year, I mean for next year, 2026, we're gonna focus on building an LLM app using Streamlit, and then we're gonna release a new lesson every day for the month of January. And so yeah, stay tuned for that. Yeah. Make sure to
Definitely.
follow the Streamlit social channels, or even follow me as well. Yeah, and happy and I look forward to sharing all of that.
Definitely, definitely. I request everyone to, people who wants to make a mark, who wants to learn Streamlit for data science, to join this course, the earlier one as well as this one. And since we are coming to the end of this session, I would like to say a huge thanks to Dr. Chanan for sharing his experience and valuable insights on Streamlit, on data science, and so many things.
Mhm.
And as I said, I'll stay in touch. I would request everyone to go through, follow Channon, so that you can you can be. It's more of like you will be getting all the information from Channon's accounts about what exactly he's doing, what exactly he has done in this particular course of Streamlit. So that's all about it. This is his channel, Hello Data Professor. I'll keep this channel in the stream itself. I'll tag Channon's channel. So you can follow him on YouTube and on his LinkedIn and stay updated for all his courses, his projects that he's been delivering. That's about it. Until then, keep learning, keep experimenting, and stay curious. That's all about it. That's the growth and the mantra to be able to succeed in life. So thank you, Shannon, once again for sharing, for giving us this time and sharing your valuable insights.
My pleasure.
I'm
Thank you, Ali.
Abhishek Kaushik. I'm Abhishek Kaushik. I'll stay in touch. And for our audience, I'll come up with one next episode. That is then very next week. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you. Have a
Thank
great day
you.
ahead.
Yep.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.